Today, I want to talk about SEO KPIs that connect to commercial outcomes. As a small business owner, you're investing in SEO the same way you're investing in Google Ads. You want to know what are the metrics, what are the KPIs that shows that your SEO is working. In most instances, the default SEO reports do not tell you that. So today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking to small business owners, even medium-sized organization. If you're a CMO, a marketing leader, head of digital marketing, this episode is important. It will help you understand the numbers, the KPIs that you should be asking from your agencies and the reports you should be paying attention to. So I'm going to be talking about this in 6 sections. I'm going to talk about the default SEO reports that does not connect to P&L. Most SEO reports do not by default connect to P&L. I'm going to talk about vanity metrics, commercial metrics. I'm going to talk about brand metrics. Then I'm going to talk about visibility across AI search. In the second section, I'm going to talk about the 3 SEO numbers that connects to your P&L. I'm going to talk about organic CAC. I'm going to talk about revenue per visit. I'm going to talk about branded search volume. These are important things that you need to understand as a business owner. I'm going to talk about this in a less jargon, less technical language, so you would easily understand what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to talk about investing in SEO. You need to think about investing in SEO from 2 perspectives, a long-term perspective and a short-term perspective. Then I'm going to talk about AI search KPIs. There are a lot of KPIs when it comes to AI search that people are getting bamboozled. What should you pay attention to and what actually connects to your P&L? And then I'm going to finish with the kind of reports and questions you should be asking your SEO agency, or if you have an in-house SEO team. These are things that you need to ask them. So let me start with a story. I was working with an organization a few years ago, and I asked for the reports from the SEO agency because I was the in-house SEO consultant, then working with an agency externally. And one of the first thing I did was to even bring like an SEO tool internally to help us kind of understand how SEO works. So if you're a small business owner, if you have an external agency that helps you with SEO, I would recommend that you have your own SEO tool internally. I'm going to talk about that later on as well. So let's start with the SEO reports that you normally get from your agency. By default, these SEO reports can either be technical, they can either be a backlink report, they can either be how the on-page content works. Sometimes they will even throw in CRO into your SEO. But all these reports, one thing they always have in common is they have a lot of vanity metrics. One thing I want you to understand as a business owner, vanity metrics are metrics that don't actually show you value. They are metrics that are important, but they are not important when it comes to your commercial impact, when it comes to revenue growth. They're just basic numbers that do not tell you anything. So let's start with like the vanity metrics. When you start looking at metrics such as like page load time, what do you call it in site speed, when your agency start bamboozling you with core web vitals, when you start hearing all those things, don't get me wrong, those information, they're important. But I want you to understand, based on my experience, some of this information and this metric should actually sit within your website team. The way SEO works is SEO assumes ownership of your website. That's the first mistake a lot of organizations make. The website belongs to marketing, not SEO. But when the SEO team has full control and ownership of your website, that can even have a negative impact on your Google Ads. The reason why I say this is I would tell you a lot of organizations that I work with, that I've worked with in the past, when I start working with them, the first thing I see is they're sending the same traffic to SEO and PPC landing page. What I'm saying is they have one landing page for SEO and PPC and even CRO. That is the fundamental recipe for disaster. But that's for another day. So the number one thing you need to look at is what kind of metrics and what are the vanity metrics that your agency is sending to you. If they're sending you reports such as like keyword ranking is not bad, but it's the way it is communicated. So the agency I'm talking about was they send a list of keywords. And what I was asking, because I was working with this client, interfacing with the agency, because they were paying a lot of money to the agency, but they weren't getting the kind of results. So they brought me in to interface with that agency. So when I asked for the reports, the agency sent huge numbers of keywords, and they were trying to position the reports in a way that we're getting visibility across a lot of keywords, which is good and bad. But the first red flag I noticed was the report was always in like a document. I'm not saying reports in a document is not good, but in my experience, again, I have seen situations where people fiddle with the reports to make it look good. They play with the numbers because those numbers are extracted and put in a document and sent to you. So I pushed back and I said, okay, can you give me a report that shows the important pages, how they rank and how much traffic they're getting? And you cannot tell me a particular page is getting 50 ranking across the keywords. It's possible, but what I'm thinking about is commercial impact. I want to know the keywords that are actually making money. So this is where it's important when you're speaking to your SEO team or you're speaking to an external agency, the kind of report they send to you. If it's a keyword ranking report, you want to make sure that that report includes conversion data. So what I said here is two things. You have a report, an SEO metric that in isolation can become vanity metric. On the other side, when you include conversion data, it becomes commercial metric. So those are the kind of things you need to pay attention to. Technical reports that talks about the site speed and things like that, they're important, but they do not actually connect to your business KPI. And if your agency is always sending you technical reports, know that they're pulling a wool over your face, and you really, really need to pay attention to commercial metric. So now let me talk about the commercial metrics that actually connect to your P&L, actually connect to your business growth. As a small business owner or CMO or CFO, the number one thing you want to be asking your agency is the revenue from organic channel. You want them to actually give you that number, and then you want to actually ask for the conversion rate. When you're looking at the organic channel, you want to ask them, okay, what is the conversion rate that we're getting from branded keywords, and what is the conversion rate that we're getting from non-branded generic keyword? As a business owner, you also want to ask, okay, how much is our organic cost per lead? This is more for like B2B lead generation websites. So I recently again worked with a client, and when I was discussing with a client, I was like, we have cost per lead for Google Ads. What exactly is the cost per lead for organic? I discovered that had never been calculated. This is an organization that has been running for years. This is an organization that has spent millions on marketing, but they do not actually have a report that talks about organic cost per lead. So when I was discussing, and I was like, okay, do you want me to help you calculate that? And I was like, okay, can I get the information about how to calculate this? And the person's understanding, and this is someone that works in marketing, the person's understanding of how to calculate the organic cost per lead was basically to just calculate how much the agency is paid for the agency fee, and then use that by the number of customers to kind of get the cost per lead. Again, this is the problem with SEO. SEO is like an afterthought. Everybody focuses heavily on the numbers for Google Ads, which is good because you're spending money on Google Ads. But what you're not realizing is your organic traffic is more than your Google Ads traffic in most instances. So you're wasting a lot of money. So as a small business owner, depending on the type of organization that you run, if it's a lead generation website, if it's a subscription website, you actually want to understand your customer acquisition costs, and you also want to know the customer lifetime value. You want to know the LTV, which is the LTV to CAC ratio. This is a bit technical. What I'm trying to say is you want to know the customer lifetime value of the customers that you get through organic SEO. You want to know the click-through rate from your commercial SEO keywords. Then another thing you want to pay attention to when you're looking at the actual KPIs that connect to your commercial outcomes is the number of your branded search. In Google Ads, you pay money to protect your brand. So when people search for your brand. But one thing I want you to understand as a small business owner is On the first page of Google, if anybody types your brand name in, you should occupy that first page. If in any event you have another person, a competitor showing up within the organic of your first page, that is a problem. So these are the kind of metrics that you need to pay attention to. So now let me talk about the 3 numbers that should be tracked when you want to actually understand and improve the performance of your SEO, how it connects to your profit and loss statement. So the first number you need to pay attention is your organic customer acquisition cost. When it comes to organic customer acquisition cost, I talked earlier on about this client that I had, and we were talking about how to calculate the organic customer acquisition cost. This individual said to just calculate the amount that was paid to the agency per month and then divide it by the number of customers, and then we'll get, the thing was just shambolic. But the right way for you to calculate your organic customer acquisition cost is to factor in the amount you spend on the tools, to factor in the amount you spend on salary, to factor in your website hosting, to factor in every stakeholder or anyone that is involved in one way or the other with SEO execution. The fraction of their salary needs to be factored in. That is how you get a pure organic customer acquisition cost. Again, the title of today's episode is SEO KPIs that moves your P&L. For you to understand what will move your P&L, you need to understand how much your customer acquisition cost is when it comes to organic SEO. You also want to understand, okay, for every cohort of customer that you get as a small business owner, you want to know how much each organic visit costs when it comes to revenue. What is the revenue that you get per organic customer? You know, I mentioned earlier on that you're looking at the cost of acquiring a customer through organic channel. Now I'm saying you need to also look at the revenue that you get from that organic channel. That is really, really important. Then you want to also look at your share of voice when it comes to your brand. Again, I mentioned earlier on that people will find you in different ways. When they find you and they type your brand name into Google, if your brand is not occupying page 1, page 2 for your brand term, then you have a problem. So you need to look at, okay, what is the conversion for those branded terms? A lot of organizations that I've worked with in the past, the conversion is always phenomenal when it comes to branded traffic, when it comes to organic, because those people are really, really ready to buy. They need less convincing because they know about your brand. And when they type that in, you have a huge conversion rate when it comes to that. So what I'm trying to say here is the 3 numbers you need to pay attention to as a small business owner is your customer acquisition cost for organic. The second thing is your revenue from organic channel. And then you also need to look at your brand search growth. What I'm trying to say here is you need to be able to isolate pages on your website. If you're getting a report from your agency and it's just modeling your website together and giving you the reports, that is not healthy. There's certain sections on your website that have different intentions. Your product page and your service pages, their intention is transactional. So you need to have your SEO reports that shows the conversion from those transactional page, the revenue contribution from those transactional page. Whilst you have the blog pages, the informational content pages, those pages most of the time will be getting lower traffic. Why is that so? Because Google AI search is offering this information to people within Google interface. So the number of volume of traffic that you're getting to those pages will be minimal. So as a small business owner, focus your pure attention when it comes to SEO reporting on the revenue from those money pages, the revenue you're getting from those commercial pages. That is the most important thing you want to pay attention to. So when it comes to SEO, I want to talk about investing in SEO. I've worked with a lot of organizations, and convincing stakeholders to invest in SEO is a problem. People see SEO as free. They see SEO as an afterthought. But what I want you to understand is your Google Ads performance depends on how much you invest on SEO. Let me clarify. In marketing, there's something called the long and the short. This is a way of thinking that was created by someone called Peter Field and another chap. I can't remember their full name, but what this is talking about is a lot of organizations invest heavily in brand and they also invest in performance. So what I'm saying is large organizations will invest in radio, outdoor advertising and things like that. And then they also invest in Google Ads. So the importance of investing in SEO is when you spend a lot of money on brand awareness, word of mouth, whatever way offline marketing that you're doing, when those people are ready to buy, because they remember your brand, they are going to search for your brand name. And if your SEO has not been implemented properly, they will get frustrated and they would leave. That means you've wasted money on those paid advertising. But if your SEO is optimized properly, they will find your brand name or whatever brand associated term that they're searching for, and they'll buy straight from you. So this is why SEO report is important. Whilst SEO is taking credit for those direct traffic, as a business owner, it's important for you to understand that SEO did not do the work. Your Google ads, your paid advertising does the work. Again, let me explain this in another way. Not everyone that searches for a product or service will buy immediately. Some people will search for a product or service with an intention to come back and buy later. That means the sales cycle, the purchase cycle is longer for them. When they are ready to buy, they will most likely search for your brand name directly and they will come in as direct traffic. That traffic did not originate from direct. It originated from paid advertising, from Google ads. They originated from referral, from word of mouth marketing, even from offline marketing, radio, television, if you do that, or even events and all those things. But when your SEO report is created, I want you as a business owner, as a CMO, to be aware that not all your direct traffic is actually from organic. Make sure you have that clarity. The reason why I'm saying this is if you fail to invest in SEO, the money that you spend on those brand investments will be wasted. That is the number one reason why investing in SEO is important. The number two reason why you should invest in SEO is because when you stop investing in Google ads, you stop getting results immediately because it's a pay to play. But your SEO investment will last longer, will even last years. That's why it's important that you invest in SEO. For you to get that commercial outcome, for you to get that impact in P&L, you need to invest in SEO. But we'll be making a mistake by not highlighting the impact of AI search when it comes to your SEO. I recently worked with a small business owner and she was just trying to grow in a pharmaceutical industry. And more than 70% of the lead she was getting was from AI search. I know this is crazy because people say AI search only has 2% of, or less than 2% or however percent they have when it comes to the volume. But this individual was starting from afresh and 80% of the traffic and the conversion she was getting, of the appointment she was getting, was from AI search. So as a business owner, it's also important for you to understand that there's some important metrics that actually contribute to your brand awareness. Metrics such as AI citation, AI visibility, and how your brand is mentioned within AI is very, very important. So now let me now talk about the questions you should be asking your agency if you're a small business owner or if you're a marketing leader, CMO. When it comes to SEO reports that actually impacts your PR, I want you to always ask for the contribution of organic traffic when it comes to revenue from organic traffic. So these are the three questions you need to be asking. You need to ask them, what is the customer acquisition cost compared to paid advertising? You need to know the difference between your customer acquisition cost for organic and paid. You need to understand the difference from the revenue you get from organic channel and the revenue you get from paid advertising. This will help you understand the importance of investing in organic SEO. Then the number two question you want to ask is, how is your brand growing in the last 12 months? As a small business owner, you need to ask your agency to give you an understanding of your branded search. This will help you understand how other marketing channels is helping you with direct traffic. Because again, sometimes companies make the mistake of attributing that conversion, that revenue to SEO, but direct traffic is a totally different ball game because it's not isolated to SEO alone. And then you also want to ask them how many pages is showing within AI search. You want to understand the number of your transactional pages, your commercial pages that is showing within AI search. And so you'll be able to link those pages to conversion. What I'm trying to say in essence is you need to be able to make sure that you are avoiding vanity metrics when it comes to SEO KPIs. You want to focus on commercial insights. You want to focus on revenue and profit from organic channel. You want to focus on organic conversion rate. You want to focus on organic cost per acquisition. You want to focus on organic attributed leads. You want to focus on your organic LTV to CAC ratio. These are the metrics that you need to pay attention to, because if you ignore these metrics, you're actually wasting even your paid advertising budget. My name is Femi Olajiga. I'm a growth marketing consultant. If you need help with increasing the commercial impact of your marketing across paid, social, and organic, reach out to me. There's a link in the description where you can book a free 30 minutes consultation with me, and I'll walk you through what you need to do. I'll help you with auditing your Google Ads, help you audit your SEO as well. And that missing link between Google Ads and SEO when it comes to performance, I can help you fill that gap. Again, my name is Femi Olajiga. Click on the link in the description or in the show notes, and you will book a free 30 minutes consultation with me. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to this on the podcast platform, like, share, follow, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. I'll be talking more about Google Ads.